Hey there, YouTube. You are seeing the Greek city-states arraying themselves for battle. And who might they be fighting today? Why, they are fighting against the Julii Romans. So there's my opponent over there on the hill. Let me introduce you to my army. I have a unit of hoplites here out in loose formation, and they are just going to be a pillar shield, basically. I have 5 units of Spartan hoplites with silver weapon, gold defense upgrades. And I have 6 units of archers. Yeah, 6 units of archers with gold attack. I have 2 units of armored hoplites taking up my flanks. And my cavalry contingent is an extremely weak smattering of 3 gold Greek cavalry. Alright, so my archers are in tight formation. Let me go show you why. Here's my opponent. My opponent is Alexander III. And he's gone for kind of an interesting rush army here. I can't say I've seen this one. And I also can't say that I would do a rush army with the Romans unless I had urban cohorts. Because the urban cohorts are going to be strong enough to hold their own in a rush situation where they're likely going to get thrown into battle rather quickly. Instead, my opponent has chosen a large spam of cav. And against the Greek city-states, that can be effective if used properly, because the Greek city-states cavalry is extremely weak. But typically, you have to remember the Greek player is going to be defending his backlines and assisting his cav with hoplites. In any case, let's see what he brought. It looks like his units have 4 upgrades each. That's a legionary cohort, legionary. They're all legionary cohorts, and I'm going to open fire on him here with my archers. However, they're not going to be my target for long, and especially since I won't be doing any damage. His cav, I believe, is 5 units of legionary cav, and I think they have 4 upgrades each as well. So my opponent has gone for the silver standard, basically. Yeah, it's 5 units of legionary cav. He's using a rush army, and at first he was sitting still, and now he's actually rushing, which is what he probably should have done a little bit quicker. Now, his pillar is going to be discharged uselessly on my front row, because I have this pillar shield here of hoplites. And he's going to get caught up on him, and it's going to make his fighting less effective. Here, I'm kind of uncertain what to do with my cavalry. I was a little bit worried, because this unit of armored hoplites just absolutely routed. And I'm guessing it's because they were a little bit exposed there, so at this point I got really scared. And I was like, ah, crap, my army's going to rout out of this. So what I did was I sacrificed my cavalry, big surprise. I sacrificed my cavalry in a holding maneuver to just keep his cavalry busy for as long as I can, and I'm going to try and reinforce here with these Spartans. So far my troops have routed really easily, but my Spartans will not rout easily. And check out this big clumped up bunch of archers here that my opponent gets to take a shot at. That was definitely a juicy target for his cav. So on the front line, I have probably 1 too many units of Spartans here, so I go ahead and pull one of the units of Spartans back and prepare them for a defense of my rear, which was definitely important. So here they are, and I'm going to kill an absurd amount of legionary cav, because one place that you don't want your cav getting caught up is on the front of a Spartan phalanx. So check out all the dead horses there. My opponent paid dearly for that attack. Now he means to come and attack me on this flank, and over here I have a unit of armored hoplites and a unit of Spartans attacking his legionary cohorts. My Spartans are way more than a match for his legionary cohorts, and my armored hoplites are definitely an equal match for those legionary cohorts. And so in the process of that hammer and anvil, he actually loses one of his units of infantry. And it's because my units were just not fixed enough on his in order for that to be an effective charge. I was actually winning that fight, so it's going to kind of lower some of the effectiveness of his cav charge. And check it out, my Spartans up front, they absolutely pwned those legionary cohorts. My opponent definitely underestimated the battle-hardened will of the Spartan hoplites. That's why you see a lot of Greek players, or Greek city-states players, bringing mostly armored hoplites and then a couple of Spartan hoplites to support. That build is okay, it can work, but also, why not bring a front line of Spartans and then have armored hoplites on the flanks to support? Yeah, the Spartans are expensive, and you're going to have less money for other things, but they will absolutely pwn the crap out of pretty much every other infantry in the game. Urban cohorts are pretty much the only thing that can go toe-to-toe with them head-on. So, I mean, obviously, Spartans can be beaten, they can be outflanked, and outmaneuvered and stuff like that, but even still, they're extremely tough because they have 2 hit points and good stats. So I reformed my lines, tried to get my archers behind my lines. My opponent made a rear charge on these Spartans here, but even rear charges on Spartans can be costly. My opponent really should have brought a lesser number of urban cohorts and Praetorian cavalry if he wanted to succeed with these type of tactics. Not that I'm necessarily all for the use of urban cohorts. So you can see my Spartans here just absolutely mopping up this legionary cohort. They're gonna make mincemeat of them. Over here, my Spartans and armored hoplites are doing the same. I think I just lost a unit of my armored hoplites there. They were pretty beat up. But this legionary cohort's not gonna win that fight. And then again on the other flank, my opponent is paying attention to his cavalry and doesn't even catch this little maneuver here. Check it out. I just come in and mow down their standard bearer and a couple of their troops. Look at my Spartans. Just ripping these guys up. These legionary cohorts are tough infantry, but not strong enough to stand head-on with Spartans like that. So you've seen a lot of videos where my opponent has misused Spartans in like corner camping or noob boxes or everything else. So here's a video where you're going to see the Spartans used a little more to their full capability. And check it out, that hoplite line came in handy there. They absorbed that charge and saved my Spartans from being hit, like the good peasants they are. Now I saw this cav charge incoming, so I turned my Spartans around because his infantry here isn't really that big of a threat to me. His cavalry was. And check it out, he paid again very dearly for that cav charge. And my opponent does not have much cavalry left to be throwing around like that. And I also have my archers firing at his cavalry. So this is slowly becoming a losing battle for my opponent and a winning battle for me. So it started off, it looked a little bit shaky for me because my armored hoplites just ran off. But the strength of my Spartans really came to shine in this battle. And that's the reason why I brought them. I wanted a near impenetrable front wall that I could present to my enemy. Because most players, it seems like, that I come up against aren't able to successfully pull off a flanking maneuver. My opponent tried, it just didn't become successful. I met his flanking. Now, my opponent's strategy was a rush army. He was probably hoping to go for a quick knockout on all my cav and archers, and then hopefully do rear charges on my infantry, but where he went wrong here was that I was using Spartans and not armored hoplites, and my Spartans mowed down his infantry much quicker than he'd expected. And so by the time that his cavalry had destroyed my cavalry and archers, he had not been in a proper position to win the infantry fight. So his infantry was so destroyed that I had plenty of hoplite troops left to face his cavalry. And here you can see that his cavalry is slowly being degraded and destroyed in their futile rear charge attempts on my hoplites. Here's the last of his infantry being pincered together in the middle of a bunch of my Greek infantry. Greek infantry is really the only infantry in the game that is just toe-to-toe as good as Romans. But the Greeks have terrible cavalry, so you pay the price. Whereas the Romans have great infantry and great cavalry, which kind of sucks because that wasn't the case in real life. I mean, it was eventually, but not in this time period. Alright, so here's these legionary cav again, just pretty much making whatever charge they can in an attempt to level out this battle, but my opponent knows that it's just too late.
It is time to press the attack.
So you can see most of the troops routing there. I hope you enjoyed this battle. I'll talk a little bit more about rush armies here in just a moment, as I have one more battle replay to show you. But this was an example of a rush strategy by my opponent that failed, even though he had some early success in routing some of my troops. So let's go ahead and fast forward to the results screen, because there's really nothing left to go on here. So that was a clear victory for me. My opponent there was Alexander III. Alright YouTube, here's the second battle replay I wanted to show you. I'm actually playing against the same opponent, Alexander III. Here is my Seleucid army. I have 6 units of archers. I have 6 units of gold, silver shield legionnaires, not pikemen. And I have 3 units of gold, cataphracts, 2 units of, I think it's bronze weapon, gold, defense, Greek cavalry. And the Greek cavalry are sacrificial, obviously, in nature. I mean, it wouldn't be an army of the heir of Carthage if there wasn't some sacrificial troops to be involved. Now, my opponent is employing the same strategy, but with a different faction. He appears to be pretty set on rush armies. And take it from someone who knows quite a bit about rush armies, because if you watch some of my early videos, I used rush armies a lot. I used my classic rush army with Carthage, which was either 3 round shield cav or 2 long shield, 4 sacred band cav, 6 sacred band infantry, and I would rush the crap out of people, easily gain the cavalry supremacy, and then go for rear strikes. However, there was times when that strategy would be defeated, and my opponent here is again employing the heavy rush strategy, and so he's got lots of infantry, except the problem with this strategy is he's got a rush army, and when I say rush army, for those of you maybe not familiar with it, that means an army that has no missile component. Because your only real strategy when you bring an army with no missile component is to rush. And so he stood back for a minute, maybe wanting to see if I would come up the hill at him. I of course will not, and I'm going to make full use of all these missiles that I brought. So seeing that my opponent didn't have any missiles, I went back into tight formation, and I'm going to open fire on his infantry, get a couple of volleys, and then retreat behind my infantry. And my opponent has to rush me again because I have missiles, and I'll just sit back and shoot him to death if he doesn't. And because he has to rush me, I'm going to get to take full advantage of the pilla of the Silver Shield Legionnaires, and I'm going to unload all my pilla onto his infantry. And this will give me an edge coming into hand-to-hand combat. His troops will be beat up, and it will take them a long time to fight down my infantry. And Silver Shield Legionnaires are easily a head-to-head match for Royal Pikemen without flanking. Silver Shield Legionnaires are much, much tougher than their Silver Shield Pikemen counterparts. So you're going to see my men easily stand their ground here. I don't even need to worry about positioning or outflanking. And now I'm going to run my cataphracts all to one side and start using my Greek cavalry for distraction. My archers are going to open fire on his cavalry and force movement from him. Now this is one of the weaknesses of a rush army, is that your cavalry either has to stay far enough back to not get shot by the enemy missiles, which then you run the risk of not being able to arrive in time to support your troops, or you're going to sit here and you're going to get the crap shot out of you by the enemy missiles. Like, check out my missiles taking their toll. His general unit is down to 25 men. I do a quick downhill charge trying to kill his general, but of course my Greek cavalry are going to rout there. But, I mean, just look at the devastation that my missiles are causing to his cavalry. On the other flank, I ran a quick hammer and anvil strike with my Greek cav just as a distraction. I didn't really expect it to be successful, but if you'll notice, I've split up his cavalry, and now is the time for my cataphracts to come into action. But check this out. I'm easily hanging in this fight with his Royal Pikemen, even in pockets. This is one of the places where his Royal Pikes are doing well. Here his Royal Pikes are not doing well. And he's trying to do hammer and anvil charges to fix that, but it isn't going to work. And now my opponent's really screwed because I have caught his companion cavalry with my cataphracts. I quickly switch to the mace and start unleashing the Seleucid fury on these Macedonians. So my troops are fighting for their dominance over the old realm of Alexander. And it doesn't look like Alexander III is going to be able to maintain that realm for now. So my cataphracts made short work of his cavalry. My opponent is trying to get these phalanx pikes into support, but kind of mismanages them just long enough for me to destroy what's left of his companions and then get out of there.
The enemy general is slain, and now his men fear us.
My general unit of Silver Shield Legionnaires routed their infantry opponents there, and then my opponent saw that he was basically screwed and admitted defeat. So that's one of the problems with rush army tactics, was that my opponent, he didn't rush quite fast enough. If you sit there just long enough for your opponent to open fire on your cavalry, you're screwed, because then your cavalry is going to be all beat up. So when you use a rush army like this, you have to figure out some type of unit to soak up some of the inevitable missile fire that your cavalry is going to take, and that may be bringing some sacrificial light cavalry or something. So anyway, good game to my opponent. He was using some rush armies, which is pretty bold. It didn't work out for him here, but I will tell you rush armies can work from time to time, so don't think that it's impossible. But I showed you some pretty good ways to defeat rush armies in these videos too, so hope you enjoyed that.